Whitford. Here. Helmut.
Here.
Marcy. Here. Osmond. Have everybody here and accounted for. Pledge of allegiance, please. If you can stand, please do.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Daniel, would you like to describe the Zoom instructions, please?
Sure. Please speak, say your name before speaking and before making a motion. Please mute yourself when you are not speaking. Do not click unknown links that may be shared in the Zoom chat. The township does not disseminate information with this function. The meeting is being recorded. Please be respectful of those and do not interrupt. If anyone is disruptive to the point of preventing the township board from protecting business, you will get one warning before being removed from the meeting. If there is a problem with Zoom, the meeting will be reset utilizing the same meeting information. If the meeting is unable to continue, a notice will be issued on the township Facebook page and website. Reminder to board and commission members that emailing or texting is not allowed during a public meeting. And that looks like it's it. If there's any questions before we proceed. All right.
Okay, thank you. Next item is approval of the agenda. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll move to approve the agenda as presented.
Is there support? I'll support. Have a motion and support. I'll call, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll open it up to public comments. If there's anyone out there that would like to make a public comment on agenda items, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes if you're speaking for yourself, or 5 minutes if you're speaking for others. Mr. Cappendale?
First, great seeing everybody. How are you this evening?
You were here last month, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
Just one topic. I'm on the water study work group, and I don't know, did Al call you up this past week? Ask him.
You sent
No.
an email.
But anyway, what happened was we are looking at, as far as water quality, we're looking at, I told you about the aquifer, as far as something that you can look at to go, should we put a subdivision up? Is there enough water underneath that? So we talked about this DSS system. And then we just talked to a whole group out of Ottawa County that put test wells in around the county to go, here's a real-time measure of what we have. In saying that, during our last week's meeting, we had 3 people come forward, Plainwell, Otsego, and Allegan, saying we have water projects. And I said, wait a second, there's water projects all over the place. They were asking for, one's a $3 million project, one's a 2.5, another one's like a 1.1. I said, wait a second, committee, before you think about this, I bet if I went to all the townships, they'd have some of the same issues with funds being needed for water projects. And so I went to Fenville. Sure enough, they're trying to get all the lead pipes out of there. They have a $70,000 or $90,000 they don't have covered through grants. And I went to Al and I just said, Al, I know you had a water sewer project in Castle Park. He goes, no, we have engineers looking at a water tower with Saugatuck Township. And I said, well, get that thing in, because to be fair, if we're going to take ARPA funds for some of these, we need to look at what that would do, because with a water tower, they go deeper, they go more pure for water quality with all the people who have issues on the east side of the expressway. So you might just want to talk to him. Within the last communications we've had, I'd like him to come before our group so that if there's a chance to get funds for you and for Lake Town, that would happen. Also, I just want to mention that I put in front of you, I hate to say it, that I have to promote myself to get reelected. And many times I'll come here and I'll just simply talk about a project as far as this is what we have going, but maybe I think most of you know who I am. You know, I'm Dean Cappendale, but you don't know anything about me really. As far as, like, I was with 30 years with the Sheriff's Department. So when Chief Janik and myself, like, I chair the 911 board. So when our new dispatch happened, a big part of it was Chief Janik but it's working together with all the fire departments, sheriff's departments. That's our biggest budget. As you can see here, like I chair Health and Human Services out of Lansing. I chair Community Action. It's helping the poor people within your area. And I just work on transportation, the roadway systems, and I'm also vice chair. I've been chair of the budget. I usually chair 3 or 4 of the 7 to 10 committees I'm on. So I would just like you to know that if I'm doing any good, I'm working for you. I'm supposed to be, I know, John, you've called me and you go, Dean, what about this? I try to go, man, I gotta jump on this. John called me up.
And you too.
That's my responsibility. But I have to be that for you, and that's what I try to do. And we were very disappointed in them changing the districts. So I have Manlius, Saugatuck, Ganges, Clyde, Casco, Lee. I spoke at Casco yesterday. It's 26 miles one way. It's totally crazy. I'm way east of Pullman, all the way down to South Haven. And you're just going, man, to do the job that I really need to do, and being there at least once a month to say something. But I love being involved in a lot of committees. I love working with the fire departments, trying to do the best for you and getting what is there for you, and hopefully being your voice. But I just wanted to make sure I brought to you that water project. Tomorrow, we're talking about broadband. That's just been a tough topic for us, because what's fair? You deal with what's fair within your township. We're talking about Lee Township's coming to us tomorrow because they're working with a telephone company that says, we can do this for you right now. So they're doing an Everready project going, hey, give us the money from broadband for this. There's 24 townships. There's 24 issues within broadband. So what's fair, and delivering money within that. And then hopefully I am a good steward of the funds that we get from each one of you through taxes. So that's what I try to do. But I'm not gonna take up more of your meeting. Thanks for letting me speak, Cindy. And have a good meeting.
Thank you.
Steve.
Is there anybody else that would like to make a public comment? Anybody on Zoom?
I don't see anybody.
Last chance for public comment. Okay, we will close the public comment section of the meeting and move on to the consent agenda. Has everybody had a chance to take a look and review the consent agenda? Are there any questions? Any concerns? Hearing none, I would like to hear a motion on the consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, and second?
I'll support.
So we have a motion and support on the consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. And we can move right along to presentations. We don't have any new business. We have a couple of appointments to make. Couple, 2 or 3.
Four, I think. Yeah.
Okay, for the Recreation Advisory Board. Which is here. Yeah, come on. Come on up.
Hello. I'm not sure what you're expecting, if you would like me to introduce myself or what you're looking for. Okay. Hi, I'm Jessica Roussettes, and I am a community member. I live in Saugatuck Township. I'm also the preschool director for Saugatuck Public Schools. And I was asked a year ago to become a member of the Community Recreation Advisory Board. At that time, I was asked to submit a letter to become the community at large member. Because of COVID, there was not a lot of meetings. I went to my very first meeting about a month ago because of COVID. And so this year, when we did finally meet the other board members and talk about what some of our needs are for community recreation here in the Saugatuck Douglas area, we discovered that the Saugatuck Township position had been open. And so I said I would like to take that position because I would love to be able to actually be a liaison with the Saugatuck Township or to be able to tell you what some of our needs are here, what your reaction is to some of the community board needs. So I am a mother to 2 small children in the district, a small business owner in Douglas, and a coach of anything and everything they ask me to do. So yes, I'm just hoping to be able to work with the Saugatuck Township for the needs of our community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a quick question.
Yes,
Jessica.
yes.
So, it does, I mean, I know you, I know you're
Yes.
very physically active family.
Yes.
What are like just your preliminary thoughts? I know that that takes research and
Mhm.
networking and talking and connecting, but what are some of the, community recreation needs that are currently unmet in your opinion?
Thank you for that question.
You're welcome.
No, I
We did
appreciate
not
it. One of the main issues that I would say there are 2 issues that are the most pressing for community rec at the moment. And one is fields. We need more access to fields. I have a 5-year-old, he just turned 6, who has 7:15 soccer and t-ball games. If you're a parent, you know that 7:15 is pretty late for a 5-year-old to be having soccer. And it's simply because we do not have enough access to quality fields. We have Beery Field, which is a one field complex, and we have a lot of teams that are sharing it. So I was told that Scott Kajik, who is our community board or community recreation director, had sent our field usage report over to the township. So I'm hoping you all have access to that. He said that he shared that with you. If not, I will make sure that I forward that on to you.
Thank you.
I am happy to be, that's what I'm gonna be here for. If you are willing to approve me, I would love to be able to be that liaison to make sure those things get done. So what that does is a detailed report that shows all of the teams that are using every field that we have. So right now we utilize Schultz Park and Beery Field. Schultz Park has, depending on how you look at it, a couple of soccer fields. Those soccer fields are actually for like Pee-wee soccer. It's for little kids. It's not for old enough kids to be able to use. And so it is a lot of sharing and craziness for coaches and kids alike. And so that is one of our most pressing needs is field time, access to fields. And we're just looking for places where we could rent or utilize fields. And with the knowledge that fields can also be a place of profit for our community, because we understand that there's T-ball and baseball only happen during a certain season, but there are travel teams all summer that are always looking for fields. So that's been part of that conversation. The other major need that we have is for referees and umpires. They are a breed that is no longer found. And so we are doing our best to try to promote that within our high school community of, hey, this is a great way to make summer money, but we are really struggling to find that support to be able to facilitate our games. So.
Is the field at the Douglas Elementary one, is that strictly baseball or?
So that is a high school field, and that is a discussion. So there's a lot of moving pieces to that one. That is not it is a regulation field for high school baseball. And so in order to utilize that for elementary sports, we would have to drop bases and move it. And that's not something that the high school has been really willing to share at this point. And so there's just a lot of moving pieces there that ideally we would love to have some space closer to the elementary school where we could have practice right after school and the kids could walk to practice, because obviously parent schedules factor into that as well. So, but as of right now, no, that field is not utilized by any community recreation team.
I have a more basic question. Thank you
Yes.
for being here.
Yes.
I've never heard of this advisory committee until the agenda came out.
Mhm.
Could you talk a bit about its structure? I understand it's part of Saugatuck Public Schools, correct? Or-
So community recreation was assumed, this is my understanding. Again, I've been to one meeting and I hadn't heard of it till I was asked to be
Right.
on it either.
Okay,
And so community recreation was taken under the wing of Saugatuck Public Schools as of a few years ago, is my understanding.
okay.
We have a millage that gets passed. We're up, the last millage that was passed for the Community Recreation Board was, I believe, in 2019. And the next one is up in, I believe they will vote for a millage again for the operating budget in 2022, I believe. And so the advisory board has 2 community at large members, and then it has a representative from Laketown Township, Saugatuck Township, as well as the city of Saugatuck. And so our goal is to work with all of the communities that are represented where our students are, the people that are using community recreation, and that also includes, it's not just kids, it's senior citizens, it's pickleball, it's a little bit of everything. And
Okay.
our goal is to make sure that we're representing everyone and that people know what we're doing and what's going on.
And are you here for the at-large position or the
No,
township?
for the township position. I was an at-large member, and then that position was advocated, and I said I would like to actually be
Okay.
part of the township.
And have we had one before, or would you be our first?
I am told that you had one. I'm not sure who that person was, why they left, but it was a vacated position, and so I said I will step in there.
Does anyone know who that was?
I think it's
Is this-
Erica Bauman.
Oh, she was on our Parks and Rec.
She was also on our Parks
She
and Rec.
resigned from that. But speaking of Parks and Rec, have you had any communication at this point with our Parks and Recreation
I have
Commission?
not. No, I know that other members who have been members of the advisory board for a longer time have worked with the
Right.
Parks and Recreation Department. I know Scott Kajik has, but I have not, because
Okay.
I haven't been approved yet.
Should you get appointed, I would
I would be happy
advise
to.
you to get to know them,
Absolutely.
because they may have some ideas on fields.
Yes.
Cool.
Is this community education with a new name by chance? Cause it used to be there'd be like aerobic classes 20 years ago at the school, things like that. Is this that group or is this a whole different? program?
This is the community recreation program that does T-ball, tennis lessons in the summer, swim lessons in the summer, but also all of the, like, for elementary, this is what sports are run through the
Okay.
elementary.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you for your
Thank you so
interest.
much.
Yeah. No.
I don't believe so.
Okay, so we have a sample motion. Would everybody like to make a motion?
Well, I'd like to move to approve the appointment of Jessica Ruthatz to the Community Recreation Advisory Board for a term to expire on July 1st, 2024.
Is there support?
I'll support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Hope you'll teach us more.
I will too as well.
All
Thank
this
you very
more.
much.
Okay, next up is Board of Review appointment.
You do?
No.
Do you want me to-
Well, yeah, come on up.
Set it up, Daniel.
Okay, I'm Lisa Smith. I have lived in Saugatuck Township for close to 30 years in the same house on Riley Road. I worked for Cackley Publications, which is like Commercial Record, The Resorter, new buyout now, but probably as a reporter, theater reviews, 10 or 12 years. I wrote grants for Christian Neighbors, and I was on the board of Christian Neighbors and worked in Christian Neighbors in MK. I was on Saugatuck Township Planning Commission and I hate saying this because it makes me look so old, but 1998 to 2004. So there's definitely a whole new group with new faces here, but yeah, so I'm a recent widow. What else can I tell you that would interest you? Besides the fact that I have to be honest and say I don't know much about the Board of Review. As a newspaper reporter, I used to be in this room like all the time, all the meetings, covering them. So, I have the rudiments of pretty much, but not the Board of Review. So, but I'm looking forward to learning and getting up to speed.
If I can just give you a little background, there is mandatory training for Board of Review.
Okay, and can you clarify mandatory training that is through here or?
It's through the state or for the.
There's kind of, oh, really?
It's MTA, yes.
Oh, that
Well,
sounds
the SDC is
interesting.
offering it now as well,
Okay.
which is
Okay.
cheaper.
It's not exhaustive.
It's what?
It's not exhaustive.
Okay.
It's not a month of every night.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
a couple.
You know, it sounds fun. Again, a recent widow and, you know, so I have the time to invest in whatever I need to.
Great.
So I'm just curious, because I'm the treasurer and I deal almost every day with people wanting to get, homesteaded and PREs and things like that. And I explain how
I
the
can
board review
remember.
process works.
This
Do
from
you-
being a planning commission.
Are you aware, do you know how often the board review meets?
I do not.
I'll make, I think,
Co-
make happy.
co-
It's 3 times a year, so it's,
Okay,
It's not
so,
too- it's
so
not too
there's not
laborious.
a lot of meetings to attend.
the first one's in July, so it's coming up soon.
July,
Okay. Oh,
December,
good,
and March.
Right.
Okay,
Are you here in March?
okay. So,
Oh.
well, I'm sorry.
Are you here in March or do you travel?
Oh, no, I'm here. I'm
Okay.
here, yeah. But a question, can I guess, what is the protocol? Or do I have to go through this training before this class, this meeting?
Not for the July meeting.
Okay, that's,
And Cindy, you're on the board.
I'm on the
of
board.
review,
Well, I'm
so-
the
Supervisors, yeah.
I'm the
okay.
secretary. I don't get to vote.
I didn't know that. Okay.
So
So board of review, maybe you can speak to this, Cindy. I mean, it's sometimes you have to make pretty disappointing decisions for people. Can you talk about that or what that kind of looks like or what type of
Unpopular
applicant?
decision,
Yeah.
we're talking,
yeah.
like,
And personal.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
some are very rewarding when you get to do a PRE or a veterans exemption. Or if someone's property is obviously overvalued and you get to reduce their amount. But sometimes they'll want a reduction and you won't be able to support that. And so that person is going to walk away unhappy.
no.
Good with that? Just so you know
I like
in
to be
advance.
liked, but yeah, I get it.
Okay.
Well, I'm glad you applied, Lisa. I
I
know
am
what you
too.
mean. It's something to be
Yeah, yeah,
involved
yeah.
in and
Exactly.
your energy is fantastic and your past experience on the planning commission will be helpful, I would think. So
Yeah, I
thank
think
you
so.
for applying. I think you're an excellent person to have on that committee, so, or whatever you call it, review. Board.
Thank you.
Board.
It's another
Thank
board.
you.
Anybody have any more questions for Lisa?
So
Otherwise,
thanks for being here too.
yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to be a part of this. I feel like this administration has a lot of integrity and I'm hoping that that will, move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a sample motion. Would anybody like to make a motion?
I would like to move to approve the appointment of Melissa Smith to the Board of Review to expire December 31, 2022.
I'll support.
This is a voice vote.
I believe it
Yes.
can be.
So all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Thank you.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Okay, now we have planning commission. And I understand that Denise is not here for a personal reason. But I see Dave Eiley there. Would you like to just make a few comments?
Can I just say that I'm friends with Jessica Rousset, so
Yeah.
Oh,
Can I
that
say
should
that
qualify me right there.
now you're talking. Just if we
She's
know.
awesome. No, I'm Dave Eiley. I'm currently on the planning commission and served for the past 2 years. I've actually quite thoroughly enjoyed it. I find it interesting. I like knowing what's going on in the community, being involved in making the decisions, or at least making the recommendations to for projects moving forward and having a say and making sure that I like the idea of knowing that people are following the rules, you know, and how we have things set up and found the structure and I do enjoy it and I hope that I'm a good voice for the community. I like to think I am, and I actually really enjoy working with the people that are on the commission as well. I know, like was mentioned before, you guys have a good structure up here and a good working relationship with each other and that you're doing well. And I feel like on the commission, we have, you know, something very similar. And what I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave. Any good questions for David?
I watched last month when you actually chaired the meeting and I thought you did a really nice job and that was great. You could step in and do that. And I watch all the meetings and I'm real happy with everything you've done. And I know you all, that committee cares and works really hard and just appreciate everything you've done so far. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I was just gonna point out, just to remind everyone that Dave is actually the vice chair of the planning commission. He's also vice chair of the advisory committee on economic development that I chair. And as your board rep to the PC, I've really enjoyed working with you. Admire your intellect and engineering background, and it's been a real asset to the township.
Thank you, Dave.
And like what you said earlier, I hear the same about you, your group, from other people in the group and from outside, that you have that same cohesive, respectful way of deliberating. So, awesome.
Definitely makes the meetings
Yes.
much more enjoyable.
No kidding, no kidding.
Okay. I did get a letter from Becky. She couldn't be here. From Becky Israel's the chair of the planning commission. And she's recommending that you and Denise Webster be reappointed. So I'm going to make those appointments now. And you all get to vote to confirm the appointment. So I've made my appointment.
I think you can probably.
So do we
if
still
you
make a
want.
motion though to
Do
say?
we do motion or not?
Yes.
So
Yeah,
there's
because it's
sample motions.
individually.
The sample motions are
Right.
there.
Okay, well, I'd like to move to approve the appointment of David Eiley to the planning commission for a 3-year term to expire June 30th, 2025.
I'll support. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
And I'll move to approve the appointment of Denise Webster to the planning commission for a 3-year term to expire June 30, 2025.
I'll support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. You have, congratulations.
Thank you.
You have 2 members.
We don't have discussion, so just a comment, but is, yes, I read Becky's letter as well, and I think you all just really flourished under her leadership in terms of, I think each and every member takes the education so seriously, and like you said, like the rule abiding, not like we're like little mini cops or anything, but like we're doing it the right way. We're doing what's right and what's, what's out there. We're following the rules that we came up with and we agreed to enforce. So I just have so much, I feel like your group is just really dynamic. There's a focus on education, on excellence, on professionalism, and I'm just so glad that she, supported the reappointment of both of you. And of course she did, doesn't really come as a surprise, but it's all good news and we love good news here at the township. So congratulations. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
I look forward to it.
I'd just like to note that there was another applicant, Mr. Christopher Cowley, who did apply back when we had one of these meetings on Zoom. And I just want to thank him and hope he remains interested and engaged because we have openings periodically.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Okay, next on our agenda is assessing services contract.
Do you want me
Go
to-
ahead.
Yeah, sure. So the township's current 3-year contract for assessing service has expired on May 15th. So consistent with the board's strategic goal, 4.5 diligence with service agreements, staff took this as an opportunity to go out and find or explore alternative assessing options for the township. We did follow protocol, so we conducted a formal solicitation of bids, which is consistent with the township's purchasing policy. The process including publishing an advertisement on the Michigan Assessing Association job board and placement of the request for proposal on the township website for more than 2 weeks prior to the bid opening. So in response to solicitation of bids, we did receive one bid from Assessing Solutions, and that bid was included in our packet to review. And the president of Assessing Solutions is here with us tonight, Anthony Mayard, correct?
Mayard, not yours.
Mayard. I knew I was gonna get that wrong.
That's okay.
If it's okay with the board, Anthony, did you want to, or Mr. Mayard?
Tony works.
Tony works, perfect. Tony, would you like to say a few words?
You know, basically, I just came, if you guys had any questions, we would welcome the opportunity. We're actually the assessor for the city as well. A little bit about me though, I actually grew up in Fenville. I started my career in Allegan County in the equalization department there. And one of my favorite assignments every year was having to, at the time, was to appraise the Denison property.
Oh, wow.
Because I would get to go to Oval Beach and then I would have to walk along the dune line
Oh,
to make
wow.
sure that they hadn't built anything, which of course they didn't, but I still had to make sure, right? So that was one of my favorite assignments when I started in this business at a ripe young age of 17. So been doing it a while, 23 years now. So yes, that aged me. I'm 40.
Young man.
Yeah.
Well, I don't feel that way, but anyways, yeah, you know, we've been doing it for 20 years. I started my business back in 2019 officially. I had been doing independent contracting for quite some time before that. But a little bit about what we do. I'm the equalization director for 4 different counties throughout the state of Michigan. We go all over the state. We are the assessor of record for 4 different municipalities. Waterbury City actually just hired us last night. And we have 14 people in the packet that I handed out. There's actually 13, but that's outdated now because we just had a new one start this week. What else do I do? I'm the president of the Assessors Association for Michigan. In a month, I will be the president for the Michigan Association of Equalization Directors. I'm the past president for Mid-Michigan Assessors Association. I don't know, I do stuff. I don't have a life, right? I don't know, what else do you want to know about me?
Well, I understand you're up for an award. Is it you or the company, or can you tell us more about that?
So I am going to be up for Director of the Year award
Oh, okay.
this year for the equalization directors. So yeah, there's that. It's pretty cool. But at the MAA conference, I'll be honored for the presidency and, you know, some of the work I've done throughout the assessing industry. I do a ton of teaching.
Wow.
So if we have new assessors that come, you know, if they want to be assessors in the state of Michigan at some point or another, they're going to see me. But I teach at all levels of certifications. So, you know, you have an MCAT, which is kind of like the 1, MCAO is the 2, MAAO is the 3, and then the master level is the highest certification you can get, which, by the way, I am a master. And I chair the grading panel for the master certification. So it's a pretty intensive process.
I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I wrote my narrative, it was 600 pages. It took me a year. It was the worst year of my life ever. Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Tony, how long, excuse me, how? I can't get rid of this thing. How long have you been assessing for the city of Saugatuck?
When did we take that on? It's about 1.5 years now.
Yeah.
I think about 1.5 years that we've been at the city. Yeah.
How are they to work with?
Well, all except for Cindy, it's great. No, honestly, the crew over there is amazing. I mean, Peter is amazing, you know,
I'll vouch for that.
yeah, everybody's great over there. They have a great team, so it's kind of nice. I mean, one of my other townships, I was actually in this exact situation and the board was absolutely going crazy, yelling at each other. And they were, you know, going to be approving me as their assessor, and I actually told them, I interrupted them and I stopped them and I said, you know what? Pull me from
I love that.
pull me from consideration, because I'm not putting myself, my company, or my employees in this situation. And we still ended up being their assessor. They called and apologized and asked us to do it, but so we did it.
That's a testament to you.
Yeah.
I didn't catch the name of that township.
It's Bedford Township. I'm not afraid to say it. Yeah.
So I'm just curious, and I don't know if I've ever asked Peter this. How many parcels do you know in the city?
In the city, there's about 1,400.
1,400?
Yeah.
Do you know how many we have?
You have 3,142.
Very good.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot more here.
Yeah, but it's a lot less than Bedford. So Bedford is 15,000.
Oh,
wow.
well, there you go.
Yeah,
It's all relative.
yeah,
Cool.
exactly. So,
I would just comment that I worked with Tony in Holland.
Mhm.
He was excellent to work with. And Don, his employee that's working in the city, he also is very excellent to work with. He's very user friendly and
so you guys are gonna get Kelly as well. And Kelly is wonderful. I love Kelly. She's been such a great addition to our team. She's wonderful. So, but you know, if this gets approved tonight, we are actually going to bum rush you guys tomorrow. There's
Yeah.
gonna be 4 of us coming in so that we can get a handle on where everything is at. This is an awful time to be, you know, doing this. Tax bills gotta be sent out. You know, there's a lot of things that's gotta happen for that. You know, ownership has to
You'll
be
calm my
updated,
nerves
PREs, and
tomorrow, I hope.
you know, we'll talk about that, John. So, you know, we're gonna do what we can to get you guys squared away if that's what you guys so desire.
Can I ask a contract question?
Yeah,
Because I was just confused by it. I thought, here it is. And I guess it's on the second page. Could you just clarify paragraph 1.3 about office hours? Because the numbers weren't making sense to me. I mean,
yep, so
can you-
16 office hours per month, so basically
Okay.
1 day every 2 weeks,
And how many hours is that day?
8 hours,
Oh, full day.
Yeah.
Okay,
8 hours.
that's the part I didn't quite get.
Okay.
And then full access remotely.
Practically 24/7.
No, don't say that.
So, listen,
We don't want that, but
I tell people, I start answering my phone at 6 o'clock in the morning and I'll answer it till 10 o'clock at night.
Okay,
The only time that I typically do not answer my phone is when I'm meeting with my family.
okay.
I have a question kind of related to John's question for you, Tony. We understand the ways of the world and remote, people are working remotely and our zoning administrator works remotely much of the time. But we do strive for excellence in our customer service here at the township. So can you speak to that? Like, what are your expectations of your employees or your assessors of returning emails, returning
Yeah.
phone calls, being somewhat flexible with meeting with people in person? Because otherwise Daniel gets all those people calling him and complaining.
Yeah,
He's
absolutely.
great, but
So
nobody likes.
there's actually a provision in the contract that
Oh.
we will meet with taxpayers outside of traditional office hours.
Okay.
So if they are unable to meet on, we were talking about it, I think what we would like to do is do the first and third Monday, or first and third Thursday, I'm sorry, of the month. If we have a taxpayer that absolutely can't meet on one of those days, that's fine, we'll come up.
Okay.
I'll meet with that taxpayer or somebody else will, and then I'll go have, dinner with my grandma, right? So, yeah, that's not an issue. We have a provision for that in the contract.
Excellent.
As far as emails go, that's actually in the contract as well. It's a 24-hour turnaround time.
Okay.
Actually, I think in the contract it's 48, but you know, we look more for 24-hour. As far as phone calls go, we would actually ask that the phone at the township be forwarded to one of our cell phones. So that way there's always access, and people shouldn't have to wait for us to get back in the office to get back with them, right? So we try to make every effort possible that we can. Another portion of the contract that's actually required on the township's part is 24/7 remote access into the server. So that we can answer those questions.
Okay, good, thank you. Sorry I missed that in the contract.
It's okay. If you read that contract front to back, I would be very impressed.
I scanned it.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
scanned it myself. Oh, speaking of scanning, and I think Daniel's said this to me, but yeah, it's all relative, but we've been experiencing very high levels the last year or two, you know, property transfer affidavits and PREs and rescissions. Would we be scanning those to your staff, or, because we've had an issue with them piling up in physically paper in inboxes.
So I think that's something that we can work on. I will tell you that ultimately, I mean, if we're talking about scanning, we strive for paperless, number one. So we will at some point be scanning all that stuff in, but as far as to get it to us sooner, absolutely. I mean, if you guys wanted to scan it in, that's fine. My understanding ultimately is that there's actually an assessing assistant that is within the office as well. And my hope would be to get her more involved than what she actually is right now, so that maybe she can actually take care of some of that stuff so it doesn't pile up. Right. I mean, if that's what partly that she's there for, let's utilize that, right? Let's get some training going so that way that doesn't happen. And then that way she would understand more about the assessing function, and she could answer some of those taxpayer questions that come through the door, you know, when we're not here on, you know, those days.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you, Tony. Any more questions for Tony before we move to the sample motion?
You know,
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I move, or do you want me? I move to approve agreement with Assessing Solutions for professional assessing services.
Thank you. Is there support?
I'll support.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion?
I also like the part in the contract about the 20%.
Yeah.
What have we been doing?
10.
Yeah, that's great. Help us keep up.
perfect, meet expectations.
Well, I think that Assessing Solutions is a very professional firm that will serve us well in this capacity. So we have a motion and support. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? None, motion carries.
Well, thank you guys. I look forward to meeting you guys.
Welcome.
I'll be here tomorrow at 9 o'clock.
We'll be getting lots of
Awesome.
coffee going.
Okay, I appreciate it.
We
I
started
do have
today.
a long ride home though, so I'm gonna get going.
Okay.
We'll be ready.
But I wanted to give you my card, because we'll be talking now.
Boy, yes, you will.
Just right now.
Yeah, yep.
July's not far away.
No, it's not. Okay, you folks have a nice night.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Tony.
Tony.
Okay, we also have a zoning ordinance proposal. I'll let Daniel keep that up, but that's for a complete rewrite of our zoning ordinance with input from the subcommittees.
This has been a long time coming. There's been a lot of work that has gone into this. So I think you can look at it from two angles. One angle is back in really the winter of 2021 and really into the fall of 2021, planning started talking about how they might review the master plan because our required review was coming up. And the way that planning wanted to approach it was to identify kind of 4 key areas of the master plan, kind of 4 main themes that they could really look at the master plan. And then I really give credit to our zoning administrator for recommending this approach, but not just looking at the master plan, but looking at the master plan, looking at the zoning ordinance, and being cognizant of the gap between the two and the possibility of bridging that gap, amending the zoning ordinance so it can really support the goals of the master plan. And so from those 4 committees, one of them, we recognize it was safety on Blue Star Highway, could be better approached in a different way. And we've had success there. We have now flashing stop signs and cross traffic does not stop signs and speed signs. And so a lot of progress has been made there. But we also have 3 committees that have been in existence for, I think, over a year now, which is the Rural Character and Conservation Committee, the Economic Development Committee, and the Attainable Housing Committee. All of those committees have essentially wrapped up and have final recommendations for the zoning administrator. And it is her professional opinion that it is an impossible task to just adopt all of the changes in one fell swoop. And she is recommending that we hire a consultant to help us in that process. On the flip side, our zoning administrator and our building inspector have been working with our current zoning ordinance and have compiled a very long list of just straight up deficiencies, lack of definitions, contradictory information that is just buried. I think too with Brenda and I were looking at it one time, and we found that in one section, it looked like you could have duplexes in one district, when in fact, if you dug a little further, you were not allowed to have duplexes. So we have this list, and the recommendation again from our zoning administrator is to hire a consultant to help us with a comprehensive update. We moved ahead with that with the board's blessing. And we put out an RFQ. Again, we followed the provisions of the township's purchasing policy, and we did receive one proposal in response from Horizon Planning. I don't see the president of Horizon Planning on Zoom right now, but it is David Jurassic. And the proposal from David has been included in the packet. Our zoning administrator has reviewed it, is happy with it. It's been shared with planning commissioners, and now it is before you. So just to give you an idea, the proposed cost for all the work that is going to go into the comprehensive update, which also includes staging meetings with key stakeholders. So there's more than just rewriting it. We'll be involving planning commission, advisory committees, key stakeholders. So there's a lot going on here. That price tag is going to be approximately $45,000. Our zoning administrator is also going to be actively involved. That's going to be above the services currently provided. There's also going to be some legal fees. Those are approximately $30,000. So we're looking at a $75,000 price tag for this project, but our zoning ordinance has been neglected for, I don't know the last time we did a comprehensive update to it. And from what my understanding is, comprehensive update should be done maybe every 10 years. I think we're probably going on 20, 30 years. So that is before you to consider. And just to point out, because we're going to go into the budget, the proposal, because this is a kind of infrastructure project. These are our laws. This is the foundation of the township. We are proposing using ARPA funds to support this project. So this is the proposal that's before you.
Any more questions for Daniel?
Daniel, you mentioned that you had shared this proposal with the planning commissioners. Have you received any feedback from them?
Not from all of them, but the feedback that I have received has been positive. And my feeling, the general feeling I get from planning commissioners is that they are satisfied with this path forward. There was at one point kind of some frustration in terms of how are we going to address all of the fantastic recommendations that were developed. And I think it was overwhelming for planning commissioners because they take that role very seriously. And this kind of affords a structured path forward that doesn't feel overwhelming. They feel supported. And I think that we can really hit on all of those recommendations in a really thoughtful way.
To that point, initially, the thinking was as the three committees worked through their priority suggestions that our zoning administrator, Lene Wells, would kind of come back and say, well, let's go for the low hanging fruit. This is an easy tweak. This is just adopting an ordinance from another township that just, changed the names. And then it just became overwhelming and more daunting. And the other goal here, if I just might add, which I applaud, is there are so many inconsistencies in our existing ordinances vis-a-vis the master plan. And why have a master plan if your ordinances don't support it? So this is, again, I think you said this. There's a little frustration just because, this might take another 10 months, but it's 10 months worth taking because it hasn't been done to my knowledge, in this comprehensive and thorough way. So I think it's a great thing, very exciting.
I agree.
Okay, looks like we have, any more questions?
Oh, no, I was just gonna make a motion.
Oh,
No, are we ready for that?
Yes, I
If you don't
am.
mind, all right. I'd be very proud to move to approve accepting the proposal from Horizon Community Planning to conduct a comprehensive update to the township zoning ordinance.
Support?
I'll support.
Is there any discussion? Okay, I always
How
want
about
to
that?
call the roll, but I don't get to do that anymore. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Yay. Ooh. Then we have next our fire district budget for the fiscal year 2022-23. We all have in our packet paperwork kind of describing that. And we do have Stacy who's going to make the presentation.
Well, I just wondered, I was looking through the budget and there's a few things that are a little different, but they're expected with increases and COVID. It just threw such a wrench into everything, but Peter and Greg, Janik really, they move things around, they figure out ways to keep things going. There's always increase in education, gas, things like that, but it's been figured out in the budget so that everything keeps moving slowly. Their capital improvement program is excellent. They always know when a truck needs replacing or anything else in that matter, and they plan for it in advance, and it's just so impressive that how they run that department. So if there's any questions, I will be happy to answer or try to, or Chief Granick is here too.
Don't have any questions. John?
Yeah, I just want a clarification. I think I know the answer because it's so well presented. Basically, the change from this current fiscal year to the next across the board is a 15% increase. But it seems to me that the primary line item for that is the truck payment. Is that one truck? Is that?
May I?
Yeah, please.
So.
I don't know how much a truck costs. I'm just.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're sitting down.
You had a price in here somewhere for one, I think.
So the engine
Lot.
we ordered in December of 2020 was 675,000 with a contingency to go to 685. We built the same engine in 2008. It was 325,000.
Wow.
Now, if we built that engine order, it would be about 740. Just to give you an idea how things happen, so I signed the agreement. May I?
Yeah, come on up.
Please, I don't want to be. I want you to hear me. Forgive my backside. So when I ordered the engine in December of 2020, 2020, if I locked in the price by the end of the year, then it was fixed, it wouldn't change. However, the cab and chassis were delivered to us several months ago. Then the manufacturer in South Haven builds the rest of the truck. Spartan, the builder of the cab and chassis, sends the cab and chassis to Spencer's, the manufacturer. They call it, say it's ready for inspection and pickup. Along with it was a $5,800 bill. Well, how do you explain that to taxpayers? So wait a minute, I have a signed contract. So, you have to work through some of those things. Do you want to alienate or sever relationships with the only Michigan builder, Spartan Chassis? Be careful with that. So we worked it out. The board wisely decided, let's split it in thirds. The manufacturer eats 2,000, Saugatuck Fire eats 2,000, and Spencer's eats 2,000. So we worked it out. These are the problems we have with ordering anything now. When I became chief, everything has a lifespan. That spreadsheet was created 2 weeks after I became chief. Furnaces, carpeting, everything. So I had to go to the fire board and say, I noticed that our air packs are going to expire in a year and a half. I need to let you know that'll be about $262,000. I assume the fund balance has that money. It did not. So what I've been dealing with is trying to maintain replacements of life equipment that ends, like say hose, helmets, turnout gear that has a very prescribed expiration date with no capital improvement plan. Not the way to run a business. I was a businessman before I was a chief. So I know these things, it's tough to try to catch up with this. So we're not asking for a budget increase. The millage will remain the same. That's a good thing to share to taxpayers. What helps us? Property value increases. Sales uncapped. I won't bore you with that. You know what happens. That's what helps us for this. So COVID changed things with availability and cost. Pretty much now you order a fire truck and it's like, when it gets here, what it costs, it costs. We check the climate on all that. That's what they're dealing with now. You can't get axles, or you can't get wheels, or God knows whatever excuse for somebody not to do something. We hear it all. I'm sure you experience the same thing. We have different capital assets, trucks. So we want to be sensible about that. Good news, we didn't have to get a loan for this. If I have to go buy a $1.3 million aerial, which is coming up in a couple of years, I'm not buying a $1 million aerial. I'm going to find a used aerial. If I have to get a loan, I have to come to you guys and the other two municipalities, and you have to agree to that loan. That's the way we bought one of our engines that we had to replace. We wanted to avoid that, so we worked into the budget to pay cash for that truck. That was $675,000. So, strategic planning. I've got arguably the best fire board in Western Michigan, the best crew, very proud of that. And we make things work, very cohesive group we harmonize, we balance things out. And we're always dealing with challenges similar to what you guys have. You guys have done major achievements, but that's another time.
So back to the budget. So the $417,000 for truck, is that the final payment for the truck ordered in 2020?
We paid $260
Right.
for the cab and chassis, and then we have a
The other
$407.
parts.
Correct.
It's not
So
for
I'm sorry I
something.
didn't get. to
No, that's
that
okay.
answer. So, yeah.
You're very eloquent. That was nice. So when that is finished and delivered, what's the total number of trucks you'll have?
So that'll be 19 trucks. And then if the board decides to have us sell the 2008 that this is replacing, which I would advise against that, then, we would drop down a truck. My recommendation, we keep that truck. Because what's on the horizon, we hope, is that Douglas will create a multi-purpose site, DPW, and they had approached us. If they build it, would we be interested in having a truck bay or two south of the bridge.
Oh, that's a great idea.
We are geographically pretty far north for our district. So the bridge presents certain problems. Half our people live down south, you can't get across the bridge. We have to go south to 80% of our district. So having two trucks positioned down there, that's where that truck would go.
Okay,
Excellent.
When do you
So
think you'll
for the
have it?
pri- Yes,
when do you think it'll deliver?
we don't know when,
No idea.
it's
Total
been
question.
in the talks, it's been in
It's been 3 years
discussions.
already.
We don't know,
Right.
but the price of trading in that truck, since we had it built, we know the history of taking care of it. So you might ask, what does that truck cost a year, Greg? I can tell you about $1,900 a year. So, and to replace that truck now is the $700,000 range. So everything has doubled and tripled in
Sure,
cost.
no,
So, and you guys know that, but
Okay.
I hope that answers your question,
it
John.
did.
So they're expensive. That's why what I had is I had an aerial expiring and that engine expiring all within 1 year. So I changed the capital improvement plan to stagger some of this. Because you can only do so much.
Right.
And I'm not buying $1 million aerial. As long as I'm.
Good for
cheap.
you. Thank you.
I'm sure I speak for everyone. Well, thank you for all you do for us.
Thank you.
Yeah, all I
heard-
heard all weekend was sirens, all weekend long. I mean, it must have been
And
so busy.
today.
Yeah.
The season is upon us. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, we average 3 calls a day, and then when it's quiet for 3 or 4 days, you don't like that, because you're gonna get caught up. Memorial Day was
Enjoy the
10
break.
10 calls one day. It was no holiday for me.
And I saw you did a great thing at Douglas Elementary and had an ice cream and education and everybody knows their address now. It's great, you know,
Yes,
you
and
do so
I
much over
Give
there.
you
Thank you.
credit for teaching my boys to close their bedroom doors at night.
Yes.
It actually
Oh.
did it.
Yeah.
Like this is
Wow.
a safety
Wow.
thing
Yes.
because of, the spread of fire, like
Yeah,
yeah. It
Thank
really, it works. It really,
it does.
It
Yeah.
does.
those simple little things, and coming from mom, it's not the same as coming from the chief,
Mhm.
unfortunately. And they believed you and they still keep their doors shut.
I
Yeah,
close
it-
mine now and I lock it too. There you go. Yeah.
That the school was the most significant reason I took this position,
Is it?
because I had taught there earlier. And working with the kids and seeing the impact on the kids, and it's only as good as our school system, which is stellar. And they allow us to do it. And it's just a great program, twice a month, and collaborating with the police. So it's one of the most thrilling things about the job. And, I trained some of our other firefighters and inspectors to do it, and the kids are just great about it. So that was one of the fun things.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I hear you also helped some stranded drivers that ended up in snowbanks. over there.
Yeah, we're
not really a
working on
fire
getting that
thing,
guy
but
a
yeah.
proper car and some driving lessons. And
Much appreciated.
can I answer any more questions?
I'm good.
Okay. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Okay.
May I?
Yes, please.
I would like to make a motion to approve the FY 2022-23 Saugatuck Township Fire District budget as presented.
Is there support?
I'll support.
Very good. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to Daniel for the year-end budget amendment and interfund transfers request.
Yes, this is less exciting than
Really?
fire district. So we are doing our end of the year budget amendments and our interfund transfer authorization requests. I'll kind of take them as they come. So we did review this at the workshop. And I think that we did pretty well this year. We only had 2 departments with overages. You'll see a 3rd department with an overage, but I think I said this at the workshop, it's not really an overage. It was more about moving money into a different department to accurately reflect what we've been spending our money on. So that isn't really concerning at all. And the two departments that we did have overages in, supervisor manager, I am new and I think that was unexpected. And so there was an overage there. And then inspections, we had a lot more building, mechanical, plumbing, electrical inspections than we previously anticipated. And we did move an employee from part-time to full-time. And so those overages should be expected, and correlated to that, we do have, it did produce more revenue than anticipated. So that was just kind of being cautious on our part. And then one thing to highlight too, and this comes out in the inter-fund transfer authorization for other functions. So it's that second line up from the green area. I did increase the transfer out into the capital projects fund from an additional $110,000 to $150,000, and that was really to anticipate the design costs associated with the hall renovation. So I wanted to make sure that we had, exactly what we had budgeted for the construction costs, and we were anticipating as well the design costs. So there's a $50,000 increase there than was anticipated, or than that had been presented at the workshop. But you can see for the proposed revenue, it's gone up from approximately $954,000 to $1,231,000, with expenditures coming to $1,200,435. Our fund balance is $30,715. That's a little lower, but there was an expected transfer in from the fund balance into the general fund that we no longer have to do. So it's a good.
You're here.
Yeah, so we've gone from having to transfer money from the fund balance to actually putting money into the fund balance this year. So it's a pretty good ending. So that's kind of the rundown of the budget amendment. Are there any questions about that? And everything is in the narrative as well.
Yeah, so we did talk about it at our workshop.
Yes, we did.
And then to point out the interfund transfers, we have gone from 4 scheduled interfund transfers to 3, because we are no longer doing the interfund transfer from the fund balance into the general fund. So that's good. There is a transfer from the cemetery fund to the general fund. That's to account for the wages of our cemetery sexton. We have a transfer of $240,000 from the general fund into the capital project fund. That is consistent with our plan to fund the renovation of the township hall. And then we have a transfer from the park project fund balance into the park project fund, which was to pay for a maintenance project or a repair project to the bike trail. And that was scheduled at the beginning of the fiscal year. So those are the 3 interfund transfers.
Okay. We have a sample motion on page 103. Oh, if there's anybody that would like to make that
And
motion.
move to approve the requested June 2022 budget amendments as submitted, and authorize the township treasurer and deputy clerk to make the requested interfund transfers.
I'll support that.
Good. Is there any further discussion? Thank you, Daniel, for such a clear and nice presentation to the budget, not only today, but at our workshop.
Thank you.
Doing a great job
Any
on
further
that, thank you.
discussion?
First Amendment.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. And our next item is the proposed 2022-2023 fiscal year budget. And I think we also discussed this at our workshop, so we're pretty with it. Daniel, do you want to hit the highlights, please?
Sure, yeah, so we did review this pretty closely at our workshop. There are two kind of major changes. One I referenced earlier, which was increasing the transfer out into the capital project fund from 200,000 to 240,000. And the other one was adding in a budget line of $20,000 to pay for what will be our share of a special assessment to construct a county drain along Blue Star Highway. That is not definite yet, that's still very much a proposal, but we did petition the county to do so. We are in the process of scheduling the Board of Determinations, where we'll find out if that goes through. But just to be prepared for it going through, that money has been budgeted. So those are the two changes that I did include money to pay for our share of the special assessment for the creation of a county drain. And I did up the transfer out into the capital projects fund to account for the design cost for the hall renovation. And everything else is essentially as presented.
Great.
And one other little thing, so this is to approve the proposed budget, but then upon doing that, it's gonna go to the hearing. And so there's actually two motions here. One is to approve the proposed budget, and the other one is to schedule a public hearing to consider a final budget adoption and hold the truth in taxation hearing. We do have to publish that date 6 days prior to the public hearing, so keep that in mind, and it has to occur before June 30th. So that's something to consider this evening when we would like to schedule that public hearing.
So we have two motions.
Right.
Is there anyone that would?
Do we?
Can I
is the
make a
second
comment first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, first I want to thank you. Do an amazing job in a very short amount of time in staying with our improved formula and presentation and grasping things that some people never grasped, and it's really heartening. I know you didn't mention it, but I want to point it out because I know we're all proud of it. This budget also includes next year another $60,000 extra dollars to our pension plan. We're supposed to find out probably next week, so we can't report yet where we got to, because they're always a year behind. We're aiming for 60%. This will help us along the way. Last month, our key person with MERS came and met Daniel for the first time, and we all met together, and he's coming back to meet with staff because we're a small, very small client to them, but they're great in supporting us, and they applaud what we're trying to do with getting the past pension liability covered. So that may be the only thing I want to point out, because we went through so much at the workshop, but it's great to see it in a draft form, almost final. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for all the help, because John was an incredible resource in putting this whole budget together.
Thank you, John.
Anytime.
Okay.
No, next year I won't have to help.
Tomorrow.
anymore. It's a team effort. It's always, at least it should be. So that's great.
So there's two parts to this. So do we need to make the date first?
Oh,
Or do we make a motion just for this part and then we discuss the
I
date for the taxation meeting?
talk date, right?
I think you can make a motion to adopt the proposed budget and then have a discussion about when you would like to
Okay.
schedule
Okay.
the public hearing.
Okay.
Well, I'll move to adopt the proposed 2020-2023 budget as presented.
I'll support.
Okay, we have a motion and support. Is there any further discussion? Is this a roll call or voice?
I would say it's a roll call.
Yeah.
Maybe
Bigford,
not.
Yes?
Marcy,
Yes.
Helmrich,
Yes.
Aldrich.
Yes.
Osmond, yes, motion carries.
I have my calendar.
Okay, now we have to schedule a public hearing. As long as it's not on a Thursday night, it's probably good for me, or a Monday night.
Mhm.
4, 5,
Are you
6.
thinking
It would
nighttime or
need to be the
daytime or-
15th,
It doesn't
Or
have
the
to be.
third.
Could be during the day,
Has to be the 15th and the 30th.
right, because you have to give 6 days.
6 days
Right.
notice,
Okay.
exactly.
That's the soonest.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah.
So, yeah,
15
and it has to happen before the end of the month. So
Right.
There's some, I don't know.
Give a little cushion on that notice, because I don't know if you have the notice all prepared. and
Well, then
ready to
why
shoot
don't
up to the
We should have a
30th.
sample all ready to go.
You said no Mondays?
I can
Monday
do,
nights.
okay,
Does Wednesday work? Like the 22nd?
yes.
Yes.
I got 1 to 5 always taken up on Wednesday, so it'd have to be
Would 6
before.
work or?
Sure.
On the
Yeah.
22nd.
Okay, sounds,
And
works for me.
Likely will be a short.
Yeah, 'cause-
22nd
and it,
Yeah, okay.
At 6 o'clock.
it's rare to have public comment, but the point is to have the public
comment.
involved. So
I think.
maybe Mr. Eiley will come. And you hiding over
He's
there.
done.
Okay.
Is that, oh,
Oh,
is that a separate mode? No, that's, we're gonna do that later, right?
is this June 20th?
Oh, we've.
Second.
We're doing the budget, we just. have to
Okay,
approve the date.
well, then since I'm talking, I'll make a motion. I gotta read it,
Is
that we
page
hold the,
109?
huh?
109.
Oh, the truth, what's it called? The truth and taxation. Move to schedule a public hearing on June 22nd, 2022 at 6 p.m. to consider final budget adoption, hold the truth and taxation hearing, and hold the budget hearing as a part of a special June board meeting.
I'll support.
Okay, we have motion and support. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you very much. We will see you again on June 22nd. If not before.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, now we have the resolution for the commitment of funds to improvements, Old Allegan Road, which I think is in dire need
Yes.
for bicycles and pedestrians. We talked about this at the workshop too.
We did talk about this at the workshop. I've been in contact with Craig Atwood at the Allegan County Road Commission about this matter. They've been great this year about patchworking, but it's deteriorating pretty significantly. Especially the edges where bicyclists ride. We've gotten a lot of phone calls. I've gotten people come into the office saying that it's a safety hazard because people are starting to swerve into the other lane to avoid some of the, they're not even potholes, they're like really deep, long ruts. I think in one of my manager's report, I did take some photographs of them. So Craig agrees that the road needs some work, but at that point in time, I think he was fairly confident that it would not be on the 2022-2023 project list, which was concerning. So this resolution guarantees that he will include this on the proposed 2022-2023 list to present it to a variety of municipalities, including ourselves. And he's fairly confident that it would be approved.
Excellent. Any questions for Daniel before we make a motion?
And I mentioned to you the other day that there is one actual hole that doesn't look menacing, won't affect cars, but it goes very deep. And it's right as you come off of Blue Star onto Old Allegan, or you cross over, and it's really a danger for
Really an ancient
bike
right
riders, well, for people on bikes, or I never even thought of walkers. Yikes,
A lot of runners too.
yeah,
I would
runners.
advise that.
Mhm.
yes.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Did you want to do it in two-part harmony?
Yeah.
I'll move to adopt resolution 2022-11 to make available a local match of $200,000 for the repaving of Old Allegan Road contingent upon the ARC's undertaking the project in 2023.
Thank you. Is there support?
I'll support.
Okay, this is a resolution, so we will be doing a roll call. Marcy,
Yes.
Aldrich.
Yes.
Bickford,
Yes,
Helmrich,
Yes,
Osmond, yes, motion carries.
Madam Supervisor, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Well, it's to Mr. DeFranco. In the budget materials in here, there's a blank resolution to establish a general appropriations act. Do we have to vote on that or?
I think that's for the public hearing.
Right,
You will have to vote on it, not tonight.
but not, oh,
Not
that's
tonight.
after the. poll.
That's all prepared for
Just
the
checking,
public
all
hearing,
right.
yeah.
Because there's so much in here, but it's
I
like,
know.
okay, I thought maybe we missed that. But
I know,
So
no,
that'll
no,
happen once we've held the truth and taxation.
that's exactly right.
Thanks for clarifying that.
My pleasure.
Got that done, and we have the Outdoor Discovery Center contract, and we did discuss that in quite some length at the workshop.
Right.
So Daniel, just want to hit the highlights.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting opportunity. I think that there's been conversation for quite a while about adding additional staff. That costs money because you're not just talking about hourly wages, you might be talking as well as benefits. And the question is, do we need more staff or do we need some expert advice to guide us? And it's my feeling that the ODC has proven to be an excellent partner to offer excellent advice, excellent work. And they are willing to partner on us and they're familiar with our projects for this year. They feel confident that they can, aid us in achieving those goals and accomplishing this project. So they're very excited to have the opportunity to work with us. And again, that would be for a retainer of $750 per month or $9,000 for the entire year.
When Jessica Rusatz was talking, I was imagining that I know one or both of her children went to ODC for their preschool education. And hence I also got an education about everything creepy crawly. But as she was talking, I was thinking that there's another way that maybe that particular committee could also partner with her or tap each other's expertise.
Yeah, I think so. And ODC has been working with the school. They set up what they call a playscape at the Douglas Elementary, which they're very proud of.
Oh, good. I didn't know that.
So I haven't seen it yet, but I would like to check it out. But yeah, the ODC is starting to kind of collaborate and work with other authorities and organizations in our area. But we would be the first municipality in our region to have a contract with the Outdoor Discovery Center.
I just think this is a no-brainer. What we're getting for the cost is just incredible. I look at, there's, I guess, 6 areas, topics that they can help us with, and then like subtopics under those. And even just looking at the single hauler, the assistance that they could give us with that, that alone would probably be worth the contract, so I just think we're getting, and there's so much more. But yeah, I just think that this is a real bargain and we'd be foolish to pass it up. They're the best at what they do. And I think that this is an opportunity for them also to kind of get into this role, and hopefully they'll just want to knock it out of the park for us, and so everybody else will want them as well.
I was particularly pleased in these discussions that this includes some advisement on the building remodeling.
Absolutely.
At our last meeting, the committee with Stacy and Becky, myself and Daniel and Marsh, we let them know.
We did.
They weren't instantly thrilled, but it's very important to us, whether it's for sustainability issues or air filtration or one of our dreams, a rooftop garden, native species out back. It's just great. They know what they're experts in doing this. And we're not. We all have great ideas, but they know how to implement things. So I get it. It's a modest amount. Could reap a lot of reward for us.
Okay,
Well said.
motions?
I'll move to approve a 1-year contract for services retainer with the Outdoor Discovery Center.
I'll support.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nice. All those opposed? Carries. We're moving right along. Business, we don't have any reports. We have the treasurer's reports. Want to hit the highlights for us?
Sure will. So, as I always report, on June 1st, a couple of weeks ago, our general fund bank balance was at $3.36 million. It went up $60,000 from May 1st. General fund revenue was 36% ahead of budget, with 1 month left in the fiscal year. That was the same overage, positive overage as last month. All permitting is nearly $80,000 ahead of budget. And on the expense side, expenditures we're holding at 1% below budget, still under. Across all our funds, revenue is 40% of budget and expenditures are 60% below budget. I just want to point out roads is $490,000 under for this fiscal year, but some of that carries over, and we've just talked about Old Allegan Road. Building and grounds is also under by 67,000. As I said, there's 1 month left of the fiscal year, actually 3.5 weeks now, I guess. There were 2 modest department level overages in expense, which were addressed in the budget amendment. Tax year 2022, June was the beginning of our prep for the new tax year. Begins July 1st. We're kind of in a holding pattern right now because we can't quite move ahead till we have our assessors on board to work with all the evaluations. So we actually charge the right amount of tax.
Right.
But that's underway. Bills will go out by July 1st. There was a disbursement, one final little one that you approved in the consent agenda. It was $2,500 to the interurban, which I just discovered when I did my year-end balancing. Chart of accounts and budget. I don't need to say anything about budget. We've addressed that. Chart of accounts, we had a breakthrough today with some assistance from the Douglas treasurer this time. And well, I think Lori's ready to do the final submission to BSNA, and I've done the questionnaire for the township, and we think we're in good shape. This is a state mandated move that has to be in place by June 30th. That's it on the treasury side. Oh, I do want to mention, next month I'll be doing my detailed quarterly report on investments, but a little update today and tomorrow. We are purchasing a certificate of deposit with a good local bank, Grand River Bank. I don't have the rate in front of me, but they've all gone up in the last few weeks. So we think the timing's right, and Abby and I want to do some, make some changes before the end of the fiscal year. Huntington Bank, I forget the term, but we're buying 2 CDs through them, and they're not with Huntington Bank. They're sort of the agent, but doing it through them, we get fully insured FDIC on both because they're with different banks, even though Huntington is managing it. One of them is Ally Bank and the other is BMO Harris. So total, the 3 moves, which will probably be in place by Monday, $750,000 to up our investment pool. Our current investment pool is holding at about 2.4 million. Don't have all the statements for June 1st, but more detailed update next month.
Great.
And thank you, Abby, for all your help and support on
You've
this.
done the lion's share of the busy work with it, so thank you. I'm glad I came in for that workshop an hour early.
Yeah,
On
I know,
accident, and
because you
then
were on
we
my list. I
started-
gotta talk to Abby.
Getting it going.
Okay, don't be quiet yet, John. Next
Oh,
is
my
the
next?
planning commission
Okay,
report.
so let me, I got this, I did this from the minutes. I was not at the last planning commission. It was held on Monday, May 23rd here. 3 members, Helmrich, Eiley, and Worth were all absent, which was a lot, but once in a while that happens. 2 of us were in Europe. What are we gonna say, right? So public and comment included 7 speakers supporting an extension of the natural river overlay to the Kalamazoo River mouth, including a Saugatuck City Planning Commission member and a representative from the Potawatomi Tribal Historic Preservation Office. 1 speaker spoke against such an extension. There was a site plan review of expansion to the Lakeshore Resort on Lakeshore Drive at the north side of the washout of the Malacca's property. Extensive discussion on zoning administrators' comments, concerns, and recommendations. The applicant, Andrew Malacca's, and a civil engineer working on the project answered questions to the commission, who in the end voted 4-0 to approve the site plan with 16 specific conditions. I won't go into the conditions, they're in the minutes. There was a review of a request from the Rural Character and Conservation Advisory Committee to consider an extension of the natural river overlay to the Kalamazoo River mouth. Rural Character and Conservation Committee member Jane Dickey spoke on approving an extension prior to the complete ordinance review process, which will begin soon. A motion was made to refer this request to council. That was defeated. It was a 2-2 tie. Zoning administrator then presented her annual report and gave an update on the RFQ for an ordinance review consultant, which has moved on since then. The planning commission will next meet on, this change. The planning commission is meeting on the last Monday of this month. It's not a commission, there will be not an agenda of, what's the right word? Items. It's an informational to review with our chair the policies and procedures and how we're supposed to be functioning, and also talk more about the 3 advisory committees' priorities, if they want to tweak them at all, to then be able to start meeting with the ordinance consultant that we are hiring.
Exciting.
Thank you.
And that's the 25th meeting?
No,
It's.
it's the June. The June is canceled.
Got it.
Now it's back. I don't have the date in front of me. It's the 4th Monday of June, 6 o'clock. July will be a more regular meeting with items.
Got it.
Planning commission related, site plans, stuff like that. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Coming up next is the manager report.
I'll try-
Daniel.
I'll try to just hit the highlights. We did have a very nice workshop meeting on Wednesday, May 18th, where we discussed, or we went over a budget overview. We went over the budget amendments. And some of those highlights were the revision of the zoning ordinance, which has been approved this evening, which is fantastic. A financial plan for funding the township hall. A cost of living adjustment for staff compensation, which it seems that many municipalities and authorities in our community are doing this year. Increases to commissioners per diem pay, which I think is excellent because our commissioners do so much. Especially our planning commissioners and our parks commissioners, and we are pretty out of whack with some of our neighbors in terms of what we compensate our commissioners for. So, and our commissioners just do so much. So that was the budget workshop. I've made progress on the no wake buoys because that was a little confusing for me, but I was able to track down how we do things, and apparently there is an agreement with some neighbors on Riverside Road or Wiley Road to put in the buoys. So they are in charge of putting in the no wake buoys. They are in charge of taking out the no wake buoys. We are in charge of maintaining or replacing those buoys. They have 5 buoys currently. 1 is in excellent condition. 4 are in need of replacement. They are functional right now and they are all in the water. So that area is safe, it's well marked. But I have gone ahead and ordered 4 new replacement buoys. Those came in at about $770. And I think at this point, we're expecting them in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
So by the time they arrive and they're able to go into the water, the 4 buoys that are not in such, not in such great shape will be able to be taken out, and the 4 new ones will go in, and we'll have a beautiful, safe summer along the Kalamazoo River. We are starting or continue to make progress on the potential well site on 135th. So we did do the first part of the Alta survey, and we have the results. I will be reviewing them with the township engineer. We have had some conversations with North Shore, and I've expressed to them that we intend to honor the contract, which does say that they would like to use the site to store or to stage soil spoils. And I've also made clear that we would really like the property as well. So we intend to uphold our end of the bargain, and we anticipate or expect them also to uphold their end of the bargain, and we continue to move forward. So hopefully we will move ahead in a partnership there. We have also been working to improve our communications with the fire district, which I think is great. They're doing a great job. We want to be on board with them And part of that process was adding new language to our land division permit that informs applicants that there may be an additional requirements from other local authorities, counties, state, federal government. So don't get crazy and sell your lots right away because there might be more involved. Township Hall renovations continue to go well. We are almost at that stage where we're finalizing the rough draft of the drawing or of the layout, at which time Abba Marsh will float that, what's the word here I'm looking for? Unofficially to contractors to get an idea of what the estimated cost will be. At that point, we can present to the township board what that layout looks like, what the cost could possibly be, what the time frame will be, and then once everyone at this table is satisfied, then we can move ahead with the official construction drawings and we'll really get a sense of what the timeline will be, what the costs will be, and we can start figuring out some of those logistics. And I think at that point too, the ODC will help us with messaging and explaining to the public the need for this renovation. And website, we are almost at the point where we're finalizing our site plan. So the website company is very happy with us. We're very happy with them. And we're at the point where we're kind of collecting or trying to collect photographs. They're encouraging us to have some sort of drone footage. I have been in contact with someone in the township who is willing to volunteer their services. So we might have some nice drone footage of the Kalamazoo River, but they're very excited with the project. Douglas has been inquiring with them about their services, so they are happy that they are getting some notice and that they might be able to break into our market here and that we are the reason, or we gave them the opportunity for doing so. So they're very appreciative.
Great.
The Parks Commission did meet. The engineer who is looking to do the master plan of the dog park was in attendance. Got to hear from Parks Commissioners about what they are looking for in that plan. So there is, I think they're scheduling another day for the engineer to walk the site with planning commissioners and see what's possible before actually developing something. But that engineer seemed very excited about the project and positive. And that's kind of it, unless there's any other specific things.
What would the deadline be to get a Parks Commission millage on November?
It is August 8th or August 10th. So that's something that I am actively working on. Lene Wells, our zoning administrator, was able to give me a contact with a consultant who worked with Grand Rapids and helped them in the process of getting their Parks and Recreation millage. So they went through they went through the process for a millage twice. So one time they asked for a millage and they realized it just wasn't enough. And they went back and they asked for an increase to that millage. They were successful both times and by a significant margin. So I think that was surprising to them. So they have a lot of lessons that they can share with us. Right now, it's a pretty modest millage that's being proposed for parks, which would be 0.25, generating approximately $100,000 a year. If you own or if your house is valued at about $300,000, they're looking at $37.50 added to your tax bill. So that's something that we're actively considering. I am meeting with the ODC on Thursday. I'm having an update meeting with them, and I would like to convey to them that one of the first projects I would like them to work on with me is figuring out, is this the right time to do a parks millage? And how do we go about doing that? They do work with other parks commissions in Allegan County and I think Ottawa County, so they do have experience with this. I've also encouraged Parks Commission to develop a strategic action plan, and I did budget money for that. And so they've asked me to identify a consultant that they can work with to develop that strategic action plan, just so they stay on track, they stay focused, and then they have a piece to share with the public and saying, this is exactly what we plan to do, and this is exactly how we're going to be spending the public's money. And we're going to be responsible in doing so. So that's all underway. I'll have that for their July meeting. And then if they so choose to go for a millage, that will come to you in July because you are the ones that make the ultimate decision if that goes on the ballot.
Great.
Yeah.
Open board report. We'll go around the table, starting with John.
I have nothing to add.
Stacy?
I'm good, thank you.
I just want to make one comment, because there's no board report, roads report included in the packet. I double checked to see when the flashing sign went in, the stop sign and the cross traffic signs. And it was March 10th, I think, and the chief and I are gonna be working on really monitoring it closely, and so far, there's been no incidents. So it's possible it's already having an impact.
Mhm.
I understand there's a myth that people think that the speed signs are a ticketing mechanism, which they are not,
Fine.
but it's
That's
Like in
working.
English.
Is that what it is?
Oh,
Like
got
in
it.
England?
Every
Okay.
the word.
500 feet, there's a speed camera.
Yeah,
Let 'em
yeah,
think
so anyway, so that's good, that's really good news. We'll see through the tourist season.
Yeah.
how it goes.
That's great. Abby?
I don't know if I should have talked about this at the consent agenda because it has to do with the Emergency Services Committee, but I'll do it now. Sorry if it's out of whack. But I spoke with the chair of the Emergency Services Committee and our Saugatuck Township representative, Tony Shepa, yesterday. He continues just to do so much significant work behind the scenes, connecting with all the players to ensure, quality and timely ambulance service for the township and our neighbors, really. As he's anticipating already, these future, changes or needs or challenges. So he keeps John and I and Daniel up to date on the work that he's doing, and we'll bring you more detailed reports as they come and things sort of firm up. But just like to give him some recognition and praise for all the work that he's doing.
Great. I attended a training about how to do efficient meetings. It was a 3-week training for an hour and a half on Monday evenings. And they provided me with a ton of additional information. All of it will be too much to absorb. It was almost too much for me to absorb. But I will be asking Daniel to put on the agenda for our next regular meeting if it's not too heavy. That's why I didn't bring it tonight, but it will be a video. It's about a 5-minute video. And just how to conduct meetings and how to make them efficient, but not secret.
Right.
Not what?
Secret.
Oh, secret.
Yeah.
Right, where there's still
Maintaining transparency.
deliberation and
Yeah.
such. Okay.
It's a really short video, but it's really got a lot of information packed into it. And then in addition, I will send links to some of the other information that I found
Cool.
informational, so that's all I have to report.
Great.
So we can open the public comment section of the meeting. If there's anybody who wants to make a
All
public
right.
comment.
Should.
Dave Eiley, 6518 Sanctuary Trail. Thank you. One that I have that's very delayed in saying, I talked to John about this actually probably 3 months ago. But whomever was behind hiring Hebner Enterprises to plow the bike path this year, fantastic. I mean, I'd heard complaints about it from the public in the past.
Yeah.
And it was used. So there are a lot of people, I see it, every day. So,
That'd be me.
Yeah.
That's guess who's walking every day.
So I wanted to say that. And I also wanted to say kudos to Daniel and Lene and the board for approving that zoning ordinance proposal. I think that's awesome. And as Daniel said, long time coming. I really like the fact we're bringing ODC on board. I think that's another point that I stuck around for because I wanted to hear about it. And I have spoken with ODC, and I completely agree that their professionalism, their expertise is going to serve us very well. And then just another little side comment. I just put this down because I heard Daniel bring up the water tower. If there was ever any way to convince North Shore into creating an easement to the state park from that water tower for township residents to be able to access that, what would it be? It'd be like the southeast corner of the state park. That would be fantastic. I mean, anyways, I've been back there and it's, so I wanted to throw that out there, something to think about.
Good reminder.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
That easement to the park was in the original plans presented to the old planning commission when Brian Boscraft was in charge of that development.
I remember you saying.
I was in the audience.
Thank you, Dave.
Yes.
Any more public comments? Anybody online?
No.
Okay. We will now adjourn this meeting of June something.
8.
June 8th.
Yeah.
At 7:46 PM. The regular meeting of Saugatuck Township Board. We're adjourned.
The seminar's already